Welcome back to the Rockhound Podcast. We're going to go out and start off with introductions. We're going to start with Karen. So go ahead and lead us off.
Hey, I'm Karen Britt, and I'm from Ozone Fine Art Ventures.
Uh, my name's Kurt with Rock.Hounding.Adventures. I don't know what I was going to say. Yeah. I guess.
I'm Kyle with World of Rockhounds, and that was a fun little introduction. So, what has everyone been up to the last week?
Well, I've been working on an Obsidian video. It seems like that's been going on for quite some time, but it is part 3. You did a fantastic Obsidian video, by the way, Kyle. And what I'm looking at doing is kind of pulling together the work on the project and then the finish. And so this last video will be about wrapping it all up, identifying some of the different kinds of obsidian that you can find out at particularly Glass Butte. and then we're gonna have a giveaway, so that'll be fun.
Nice. I think I entered awesome. entered in for that giveaway.
All right. Good luck, everyone.
Yeah. So I guess pretty much what I've been up to this week. I've been still trying to get that video together of cutting the obsidian on the new high-tech diamond slab saw, and nice. It's been kind of slagging, but it's coming along. I'm halfway through it, and hopefully I get that done by tomorrow and can get that uploaded for Monday's video, and then also do the instructions on how to enter the giveaway for my channel. So
any features on what you're going to be giving away?
I'm thinking the cap that I'm working on in the video, I'm going to do that one as a giveaway, plus some green fluorite, some carnelian agate that I cut up today, and a few other probably agatized wood that I found in my recent videos. And probably just going to do that unless the person would rather have a rock pick or something. So nice. That's pretty much what I'm going for.
I think options are good. It gives people the opportunity to, if they want a rock, they can have a rock. But if they already have a rock pick, then, yeah. I'm trying to get my Maker Challenge project completed. And the more I work on it, the more I realize it's not exactly how I had originally planned it. And that's going to happen. I mean, when you're trying to convert cut pieces of paper to stone, there's going to be a lot of differences. But it's going to be cool regardless. I'm kind of thinking outside the box now and trying to keep it kind of original. Or some original. I can't talk. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it original, but unique, I guess you can say. None of the slabs are like perfect with one another, which is fine. The hat to the project, I mean, if you look at the picture, you can see that I'm doing the gnome behind me. But the hat is actually out of petrified wood, and it's actually thicker than all the other slabs, so it actually will look like he has like a brim to his hat. And got a drill press today, so I could have used that several days ago when I was working on this project. Because I don't care how good you are with a capping wheel, sometimes you need to have a machine that can actually, where you can get a nice straight edge on any kind of slab. And I'm at that process now where I'm getting ready to start, not really start gluing everything, but getting the part where I'm fitting everything together. And I'm noticing that there are some of the parts aren't quite flush with each other. Some are kind of like not really fitting. So I need to flatten some stuff with some special bits. So and we also did get some questions from the first video that we should kind of delve into. I know that Kurt had them written down, but you didn't have the paper with you, right?
No. Okay. I had them written down, and then between having them up there to down here, they landed somewhere else, and yeah.
I have them. So the first one that I thought was pretty interesting was Monster Agates wanted to know, what is your biggest find and where did it come from? So who wants to go first on that one?
That would be you.
Me? I actually do, since I had the question, I do have it prepared. Way out east in Oregon, there's a spot where you can go where sea maggot seems to be coming out like icebergs out of the ground. It's pretty amazing. And so I actually have a piece of the seam that was much bigger when I pulled it out. In fact, I couldn't carry it. So it's, let's see, can I get it? It's blue sea maggot. So,
Yeah, it looks like Graveyard Point.
bing, 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 we have a winner. Yeah, with that kind of introduction, if anybody has been there, you'd know just from that introduction, it is an absolute wealth of incredible material. So that's my favorite biggie. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. So pretty much, I want to say November of 2019, whenever I was in Vermont, there was one river I kept staring at every time I would drive by, and I finally decided to go hike it one morning. And I probably hiked a good mile down the river and to a landslide area. And I probably went about halfway up the halfway up the landslide. I was digging around, and then I found a really cool piece of green chrysoprase. But shortly after I found that piece, there was this massive, it looked like a smoky citrine mix kind of popping out of the dirt. So I dug that out, and it ended up being probably the size of a basketball or a little bit larger. And I rolled that down the hill because there's no way in heck I would be able to pick that up and carry it down the hill. And once it got to the bottom, I saw the entire piece was just like crazy cool. And I knew there's no way I'm gonna be able to haul that out of there. So I found a rock, used it as a chisel. I found another rock, used it as a hammer, and chipped off a couple pieces on the sides that I thought were really beautiful. That had some rainbow inclusions. And the stone actually, it was like a mix of like citrine, smoky quartz. There were some garnets embedded into it with muscovite. Yeah, it was super cool. And I went home, and then I could not get that rock off my mind. So later that night, I decided I'm gonna go back and get that the next morning. So the next morning, I hiked back with a backpack and put it in my backpack, and it was a pain in the butt to load it or hike it out, but I got it. Now it's in a big protective box in the garage. I thought about actually having it tonight and putting it behind me, but that didn't happen. So yeah,
it's always next time.
Yeah, exactly. I'll have that. I promise I'll have that next time.
If you bear with me, I can actually pull up a picture because it's in the backyard. It's about, oh gosh, it's almost 2 feet long, but it's a petrified wood log.
Oh, wow.
I was digging at Hollywood Ranch there in Sweet Home, and they had, I think, dug up a pit not long ago. And what had happened was, I'm going through the tailings and looking for anything that might have just like rolled down, and I saw a spot that was about this big, and I tapped it with a shovel, and it was solid. I'm like, ooh. Is it bigger than that? So I got my shovel in there, and I got it in and far enough, and I wedged it, and I saw the whole thing just rolled. And I'm like, oh. And so I got in there and dug it out, and sure enough, it was good. It's good size petrified log. And it's still sitting in the backyard. I've been meaning to either cut off a small end of it so I can see what's on the inside, or just use an angle grinder and just grind down the end so I don't have to worry about making that piece smaller. But I could probably just edit in a picture when I go into to edit this, just keep track of my time so I know where to go looking. I'm just trying to find. It was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I'll just send you a picture of the one that I have, and you can do that too if you want, or if not.
Yeah, but yeah, that was.
We want to see it. We do.
All right. Bear with me here, and I'll throw it up.
Yeah, the following the petrified wood experience is pretty neat. Have you guys ever come across the log that keeps on going in the ground?
Nope. I'd love to though.
Yeah. We found a through and through log. Never found the top nor the bottom, but hit an old pit and decided to see what maybe they had been after. And after removing some of the soil, those of you out there listening, sometimes it's a good idea to refill your hole. And so that's what somebody had done, but you can tell that they had been there because there's a lot of float nearby. So usually you can go ahead and relocate and find it again. And we found the tree going this way and the tree going that way. And
Nice.
oh my gosh, and it was all opalized. So it had sharded up and
Beautiful.
Oranges and yellows and greens and blues. And it just was quite incredible. And yet there was nothing but little shards to bring out unless we were going to be there for days and excavate this way or that way. So
that makes sense.
It's still there.
Let me try this share screen and see what happens.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool. Ta-da! Can you guys see it?
Yep.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good size, and I still need to work it because I am curious what's on the inside. And then, I think once I do, I'll share that because I thought that was really, really cool to be able to pull that out of the ground. Well, not really out of the ground. I mean, that was out of the tailings, but still, it was still a really awesome find.
Yeah, that was a really cool find.
Yeah, I've had other cool finds out there, not necessarily the biggest finds, but that was by far the largest as far as length. I did once find a petrified stump, and that's sitting in my backyard too. That was like 120 pounds.
Wow.
And then I've also found like limb casts out there too, like agatized limb casts and stuff. But I definitely want to go back out there once the weather gets a little bit better. And maybe hopefully someday I can top that.
That sounds good. It sounds like you found Andrew's roots, actually. Well, we do have another question from last week's podcast, and it's from Manny, Michigan. And she was wondering, what is your oldest memory of rock hounding? Which I think is a really good one. Anybody want to start, or should I do it?
So pretty much, I don't know. I'm not sure how old I was. I know I was very young. Out in Highland Haven, Texas, my grandmother me and her used to always go on walks down like several blocks down to the pier. But before we would get to the pier, we would stop and I would look for rocks along the road and stuff. And there's this one house we'd always stop before we got to the lake, and we'd watch all these bats that gather. They'd go into this chimney of this house, like hundreds of them, and like right at sunset they'd go in there. As a abandoned house, and they'd be in there for a while, and then like right as the sun would set, they'd all fly out. It was really cool to see. And then we would like continue our path to the lake, and I'd go there and pick up duck feathers and little crystals and rocks, and that's probably my oldest memory. I think my grandma actually still has some of those rocks in her house.
Nice.
Back there.
I really had to think about mine because the older I get, the harder it is for me to remember past a certain date. So everything's kind of broken up, and I'm sorry if you guys are hearing baby screams in the background. But I really had to think about that because at first I was going to say about third grade, but then I remembered we actually lived in Washington for a short, brief time before third grade. And I remember my mom's husband at the time, his parents lived out in the mountains and outside Raymond, Washington. And so they are pretty close to all the logging roads and stuff like that. And a lot of times we go for a drive or go for a walk just down the road. I'm so sorry.
You're good.
Adds atmosphere. It's all right.
Yes.
Ambiance. Ever want to know what it feels like to be a father or a mother? There you go. But yeah, so we'd go for these walks, and we go up to up these logging roads, and we just walk. And I would find just rocks with crystals on them. I mean, they weren't huge crystals. They were short crystals. So I used to call it Crystal Mountain. It wasn't necessarily a mountain. It was just like back country roads. So that's as far as back as I can possibly remember. Of course, I don't have any of those rocks anymore. I don't even know where they went. But then after that, as about third grade, was it wasn't like going out and looking for rocks. It was actually whatever was in the playground, like little agates or little jaspers. And at that time, I didn't know what jaspers really were. I knew what agates were, but like jaspers, I used to call them pudding rocks because the light tan ones would look like butterscotch pudding, or the dark brown ones would be like chocolate pudding. And so, like nowadays, I'm like, oh, God, this is Jasper, and I would see people that are, posting like actual pudding rocks. I'm like, well, I call Jasper pudding rocks. So, is that pudding rock real, or is my pudding rock real?
Obviously yours. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and add my story in really quick to round off the oldest memory. We used to get shipped off to my grandma and grandpa's ranch every summer. My mom was a self-employed artist, and so she'd go and have some sanity time while we went and did things on the ranch. And if you're familiar, this is in Wyoming, and so some of you might know about Wyoming rocks.
Blue forest, petrified wood.
Like, and fish, like geodes and everything. This is about an hour and a half south of Yellowstone Park. And so we, on ranches, they typically clear the fields when they're homesteading, and they put up big rock piles. And so as littles, we would run out to the rock piles and use rock against rock, as you were talking about that tool earlier, to break open all of these just mystery stones. And my grandmother would throw fits about the fact that, of course, we were going to lose our eyes and, all that. And so every single time we brought them back, she'd chuck them out and they'd be gone forever. But that meant that we had to go back and find more, right? And, I just remember getting in really big trouble, right, for going and finding really cool. I remember one geode that I broke open had all these little orange crystals inside, and I felt like I was a princess in fairyland finding these precious things. And my grandfather and my mom also had the Rockhound gene, so it was just my grandmother that threw the wet blanket over it. So it was the ranch reality. So but all of those are such good memories that are so much fun to kind of recap, like pudding stones. I love that. Never gonna look at a pudding stone the same again.
I know a guy that he used to tell stories about how he would be like down in the trenches, like where the blue forest wood was coming from, and like they would just walk down up and down these trenches, just keep finding like wood after wood. I'm like, I want to go there. That stuff polishes up really nicely.
Yeah. There's a place just up the road from the homestead that some actual relatives have, that is one of those places where the fish come out of the books of the stones.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And they've got work all over the world and all the museums and everything. Oh. So yeah. And I didn't even know those people, or that it was there when I was little, all this really super fun stuff. And you kind of like, hey, why were we laying pipes on for the irrigation on the ranch when we could have been out rock hounding, Come on.
Yeah.
Well, going back to YouTube channels, unless someone else has something else, has anyone watched like any good videos lately? Like, I mean, this is a good time for like shout outs for channels. And I mean, for me, it's a little bit harder because I haven't really spent a lot of time like really on even my personal Facebook page. A lot of times I check Facebook for the for group stuff, but even for YouTube, it's been difficult because I'm trying to get stuff done in the shop, and if I'm not doing that, then I'm sitting with my daughter and stuff like that. So, but I have watched a few videos. I don't know what you guys have had time to watch.
I've watched a few here and there, but I haven't been able to really narrow down like a favorite for this week. I watched a couple of like Agadads and Rockhounding Live, and I guess the most recent one that I watched was the Pennsylvania rock hunter and his cutting video of those awesome Bruno Jaspers and so forth. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see what he does. Yeah,
that was good. And I actually I've been watching a lot of the Geo Rock Nerd. That's the channel, right? Yeah, she is a geologist. And so I'm definitely of the ilk or watcher that enjoys a lot of educational content along with the video. And this lady, she knows her stuff. And so she's throwing down about the volcanoes and about the mineralogy and everything. It's just really, really cool. So I can't name a certain video. I've been binge watching those.
I'll definitely check her out. It's kind of interesting, like how, like, there's so many rock hounds, but everyone that has a channel, they create their channels differently. Yeah. Some they go more into the geology, or some will just talk about the rocks of the sea, or some they will like normally when I go out hunting, I try and not use music, but sometimes I have to use music because the wind noise is too strong or overpowers me, and it's interesting just to kind of watch and think and see all the different ways that people put together their videos, and talk about the history of the land and so forth, which is kind of cool for me.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I just remembered there was one channel that I was recently, like, I just found and was looking into, but one of the locations that I hunt out in Utah near the Dewey Bridge area, where I thought when I found it, I thought it was jasper, but I found out it's yellowcat, agatized wood. And I was watching his channel, and his channel, I think, is like Scott KS5 or something like that. He used to make rock hunting videos, and then I guess he wasn't getting very many subscribers or watching, and so he made a new channel about metal detecting. But I've been chatting with him, and one of the locations that he found, honestly, just uphill from that, there's a entire, like right on the hillside, there's a entire area that's just covered in like large, probably 60 to 80 pound like pigeon blood agate and yellowcat wood. So I'm planning on, I've been kind of chatting with him and got the location, so I plan on going out there and checking that out. But his content's pretty cool. Nice. And I've been enjoying watching it.
So Kurt, my mom was watching, and she wanted to know whereabouts geographically you like to rock hound. And I thought that was actually a decent question for anybody who wants to answer it, because if you haven't seen your videos yet, you might not know that this guy is going into the rivers and this guy is going up the hills. So yeah.
I've always stuck with the rivers. Because you don't know what you're gonna find fully there, because there could be so much stuff that is washed down from upriver. So and like different parts of the river, even though it's the same river, you can find more agate or more unakite or just so forth. But my entire life, I've always gone to the rivers or creeks, anywhere where there's been water that is like a water runoff area. That's my general area. But this year I plan on expanding that and hiking more into the mountains and trying to find other areas. But if you watch most of my content, I'm always on a creek or always on a river bed, which I didn't really think about until you asked that question. That's kind of interesting.
Well, and it's really visually appealing, when I'm watching your videos, Kurt, that it's so easy on the eyes. And you mentioned something about the music, that some locations, you don't want a music that's going to drown out those natural noises. Not at all.
Not at all. Yeah. one area of one of my videos up in near Ouray, in Colorado. I did it when I first started making videos, and so it's just some random music with the scene, with the video footage of the rapids and stuff. And I've had some people tell me like the music's not that great for the scene, and I completely agree with them. I wish I could go back and edit it, but kind of have to let it be. I may revisit that area this year and make a better video where there's no music, where I'm capturing the natural bird noises and rapids and water and all that good stuff.
People like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I love that. I don't like a few days ago I went to a new location, and the mountains were just so beautiful with the snow and the river. I decided to park off on the side of the interstate and hike down to this river area. And I could sit there all day and it was like, even though I was right off the interstate, couldn't hear the interstate at all, no traffic noise, which is truly amazing. And just listen to the water move and so forth, which I'm going to be going back there because I picked up this little bitty tiny rock that I thought was just schist and mica. And like hours later, I was looking closer at it and realized there's some garnets in there. So I'm going to go back and see if I can find the source.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about you, Kyle? What would you say is kind of like the look of your videos?
I mean, for everyone that watches my channel, about 95% of my stuff is mostly in the shop. But I do want to do more outing videos. I have a list of places I would like to go. I want to go to Hampton Butte and do a video there. I want to go to Glass Butte and do a video there. The Sunstone Mines and do a video for that. Someday when I can afford it, I would like to go to the warbed fossils there in Wyoming and dig for fossilized fish. Of course, that requires time and money.
That's the family I was talking about.
But I follow their Facebook page, and they have some awesome fossils that come out of there, and it'd be really cool to be able to find something that's even beyond a fish, to be able to if able to take home and have prepped. But and then the Crystal Collector did a video on Topaz Mountain. Oh, that looked like it'd be really fun, and beyond that. I believe Topaz is actually our daughter's birthstone, so it'd be really cool to be able to go there, self-collect topaz, and then I have a friend over there in Ohio that actually does really awesome, like one-of-a-kind faceting, and so it'd be really cool to be able to collect something, send it off half-faceted, and have made into jewelry for her when she gets older. So
that'd be awesome.
But I feel like the West Coast here has a lot of places to really pick and choose from. But for me, it really all depends on budget, time of year. Same as Kurt, I actually like being around creeks and rivers because, every year, depending on if it floods or not, will depend if there's new material to kind of look for. Here in Corvallis, I went kayaking for the first time. I was invited, actually, I think it was before COVID had hit. And my friend invited me to go kayaking for the first time because I'd never been. She was finding all the big carnelian agates, and I was finding all the little stuff, but still, it was really cool because I always told myself I wouldn't go in the Willamette just because it's the Willamette. But I was wrong. There's still good stuff just locally, and I don't necessarily have to go very far to do that. So someday I'm actually hoping to actually invest in a kayak that can support my weight because, it may not seem like it, but I'm a big guy. And kayaks for smaller people are a little more cheaper than kayaks for big people. Something inflatable would be good for just short term. I just never had a good experience with anything inflatable last.
I think the Rockhounders angle to having a boat, or we typically take our inflatable stand-up paddle boards with us to the rivers, is that you can go to places where people can't go to on
exactly
foot.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's so good.
I used to own a kayak, and I that was back in Texas, and I could go to areas where no one else has ever looked and find some amazing artifacts and crystals and so forth. And I missed that so much. And I like Kyle, I plan on getting one hopefully in the near future. But another thing, Kyle, is not just a kayak, but you can look into like a canoe, because you're going out rock hounding. You can like have a heavy rock on one side, and just to help balance the boat. And so that way, whenever you're going out rock hunting and you're going to the islands or wherever, you can load rocks onto that side of the canoe to help balance it more. And I mean, canoes, I guess they're about the same price as kayaks, but just another option.
Yeah, at some point, that will be something that I will look into. It's just not right now.
Yep. Yep.
The stand-up paddleboard is my favorite methods to go rock hounding. And funny thing, as far as my videos go so far, is that since I'm at the coast, I have a couple on the beach, and I have a few out at Glass Butte going on. But it's funny, I haven't taken enough video when we go out. And so I have a lot of studio material. My favorite by far and away on the stand-up paddleboard would be the Oahe. And it's riddled with everything, the thunder eggs and the blue opal, and there's jaspers and rhyolites, and it's stunning. So that thing that Kurt said about coming across places where people haven't been, and you're finding things that, who knows how long they were hanging around, and it's pretty special.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
I'm gonna back up a little bit. I also want to kind of shout out a couple of channels for their content. They kind of stick out, and I don't know if my mind's a little mush, but they could have been from last week, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty recent. One is Rookie Rock Hounding. He had polished a beautiful moss agate, and he did it all with an angle grinder with all the special bits.
Oh, wow.
And just looking at the stone, I know how much time and effort it takes to actually polish anything, and with him to do it just on a small little angle grinder upside down, he did a fantastic job. Just looking at the stone, I can imagine how it feels in my hand, because there's like multiple facets on it. So he did a fantastic job with that. Ma'am Lambo, I don't know if any of you guys follow him.
Yeah, New Zealand, right?
He pulled out several huge concretions, and I give him huge props for the amount of dedication that he goes through to get those concretions up that hill. You can see it in his video that, from him rolling it, taking a break, rolling it, taking a break. I'm like, I would have done the same thing, because it's a lot of effort to move a concretion, because they're heavy. It's not just a simple white rock. It's basically natural concrete and whatever dense materials on the inside too. It adds up real quick.
Yeah.
And of course, Pennsylvania Rock Hunter, he did a couple really awesome cuttings of those awesome jaspers and thunder eggs. That was really cool.
Yes.
And then today, Agate Dad had a really awesome video. I think it was the Galaxy Stone.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
That stuff is pretty, and I mean, having the close-up views to see all the different agates that are in there and all the different colors, it's art. He also has his new rock shelf right behind him too, so it's really awesome that he built that and included all the different channels that had sent him rocks to display behind him. So that was really neat. It makes my shelves look a little bare, but it was funny because when he was going through all the different rocks, I talked to Kurt about this too. There was a thank you card. There was a thank you card in the background. I'm like, that looks like a thank you card that I send out, because usually for customers or anything rock related, like I always send out a thank you card, always. And I'm like, that looks like something that I sent out, and it was. I'm like, and I'm trying to remember. It's like, why did I send him a rock? Like I can't remember. But I think it was one of those things where I sent him I think I sent him, Jared, and Kurt. Did I send you a rock?
Yeah,
too?
yeah. Well, I sent you a rock to polish, and then you sent me the rock back polished with 2 thunder eggs, and I got one of those cards. And as soon as I saw him pull that card, I was like, "Oh, that's Kyle's."
But either way, it was really cool that he did that, and that he can display all the cool rocks that he got in, and he was also very smart for keeping all the boxes together and keeping everything together until he did that. So it was very, very well thought out for what he did, and it was really awesome. But we are getting pretty close to our time limit, but I do have one more question. Have we discussed how we came up with our names for our channels?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Do anyone have a reasoning to their name?
Well, I think I actually went over it during the last podcast. Just it's the name of the gallery that I ran for almost a decade on the Bayfront, and I kept the Ozone Fine Art, and we have Ozone Fine.Adventures now, so my fans from before can carry on.
Nice.
Yeah. I think when we did our introduction, we kind of touched a little bit on that subject. But yeah, like for me, the reason why I use Rock.Hounding.Adventures is because I've been the last 3 years I've done a lot of traveling between Texas to Arizona to Tennessee to Kentucky to Ohio to Vermont, now Colorado. I just felt like it'd be, since there's so many adventures in there, just call it all together Rock.Hounding.Adventures, and so forth, and continue those adventures into other states as the channel grows. What I normally do whenever I go out to creeks or if I go hiking, I'll just throw on just a light pair of shoes, or even if I'm going hiking, I'll wear water shoes. It doesn't make sense, but it makes sense to me. There's just a little bit of protection, but the bad thing that I ran into last hunt was cactus. A lot of times it blends in, and I kick it, especially with my water shoe. They got holes in them, so those I was hiking around, after I stepped in cactus, I was hiking around with thorns in my foot, and I couldn't see them because they were so small. Only bad thing.
I watched that video just recently too. Yeah.
I chose the name. It's before I got the channel going. I want to take time to make sure I got the right name, to make sure that it fit within the niche. Because I try to watch as many videos and get as much information as possible before I even got things going, to make sure that I wasn't gonna have a channel name that didn't quite fit what I was doing. Because I could have easily just had a self-titled channel like a lot of other people do, but then you kind of limit what you're doing, and then you're also confusing people that are watching. It's like, well, what is he doing? And what is his content that we're watching? What's his niche? So I'm like, I need to kind of better secure a name, and it took a long time. I had a lot of stuff written out, and what I would do is I would type in a name that I think would fit into YouTube, and go into this into the advanced search bar and search channels. That way I'm not copying someone else's name, because that's just kind of rude.
Yeah.
Because I think I was trying to go for the different rock names, and like Rolling Rock or just stuff like that. And I'm like, it's taken. There's been times where I type in a name, 10, 15 other people have the same exact name. I think I was even going to try to go for the Rock Room or the Rock Cave, and that was all taken. I'm like, oh man. I mean, you can still, start a channel with the same name as other people, but you're not, you're joining a group of other people. You're not making yourself different. But I chose this name because it allowed me to do rock hounding, lapidary, and everything else, because it's literally the world of rockhounds. People that, I do want to do some more actual rock hounding videos. But right now it's been mostly shop stuff, but I'm hoping to have a good mix of everything. That's why it's the world of rockhounds. Because I could have gone with more of a shop name, but that would have kind of dedicated an exact point towards I'm just doing shop stuff. I want to be able to have that option to be able to go do other stuff too. So that's kind of how I picked that. And as far as my logo goes, I went with something that was kind of familiar to my Facebook rock pages that I had started, and that way there was at least some kind of familiarity between my YouTube channel and those pages. But yeah, so that's kind of how that got started. On that same note, though, like you can still have the same name as a couple other people, and they may not have, they might just be subscribers or be like your general public of YouTube. They don't have a channel, or they might have a channel. They just don't post content at all. So, and I've talked to I think a few people about this, where you can have literally 10 people have the same niche, same content, and everyone's going to have their different film styles, different way they edit. So you can watch 10 different people and get, there's something for everyone. So even if you have the same name as a couple other people, you're probably posting different content than they are. Your channel might grow more than they are. I can English. You get what I mean, though. Like, you can be sharing stuff with other people, but you can be putting more content out there. You can be growing more than they can, and you can get to the point where you can actually secure your name as the web domain. And that was kind of my first goal, was to not only get my YouTube channel started, but get up there to where I can secure that dedicated name for the web URL, because that's going to be a huge difference between if someone else happens to start a channel with the same name as me, that's great, but I have the URL and they don't. So as long as you get on top of that, it's fine. You can have copycats all you want.
Yeah, one of the name, like whenever I was trying to come up with the name for my channel, I was going back between Rock.Hounding.Adventures, and then I was also thinking about doing Finding Earth, just because going out rock hounding, you're always finding a new piece of the earth, either rocks or nature or trees or plants, or just something that I thought about going with that, but I like the way Rock.Hounding.Adventures sounded more. It was easier to say and probably a little bit easier to stand out than like Finding Earth.
It also focuses your niche to the rock and lapidary side of things, whereas Finding Earth would actually broaden you up to more a wider niche, because you're dealing with nature.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can still have awesome nature shots with your videos, and it still fits. But I think you did good with your name.
So what are you guys working on here? Like, does anybody have something hot that they're about to drop, or this is getting given away? So
can't wait to see who wins.
That hat right there, the names are in it. We'll pick one of those. Saturday, gonna drop that video on Saturday. Yeah, right. Good luck, everybody, and thank you so much for the support. It was a milestone video, and kind of like I'm already hitting the other one. Like before dropping so I guess more giveaways soon, but I am looking forward to some opals that are hanging around from Australia, the boulder opals that I got, and they are waiting for my hands. And I have an inlay project that is a carving of obsidian and opal. So
cool.
Yeah, that's what I've been dying to get my hands on, but I'm not allowed because I'm still working on that one video. So it's all coming. What about you, Kyle?
So I'm working on multiple things at the same time. It seems like that's always the case anymore. But I'm trying to get my Maker Challenge project done. And then I need to get a couple customer projects finished up and out the door. So I can kind of, once I get everything done, I can take a little bit break. And then, again, I mentioned this in the last video, take a quick break and then still make small videos and then get back into a few projects. I still have a large project. Not only so much large, it's just top secret, hasn't been done on YouTube yet, and I'm really, really hoping that I get to the milestone I want to get to, so I can show it, because it's awesome, and I wish I could say really more than that, but it's going to be awesome, and I think I might even have a cool little speech to go with it, because it's unique.
100%.
Kurt knows.
Yeah. I begged him.
He has sworn to secrecy.
Yep.
Actually, I had actually asked Kurt if I should have shown this particular project for my Maker Challenge, and he's like, no, save it for when you get to your 1,000 subscriber milestone. I'm like, okay, that's what I'll do, and so that's what I'm gonna do. You guys are gonna have to sit on that and wait. But yeah, after that's done, I have some other projects I want to get done. I have some more knives. I want to get some more stone handles on. I've done many pocket knives with stone handles, but I don't really have one that I carry daily because I haven't found the perfect stone. So I think once I get caught up with everything, I might start searching out for that perfect knife for myself.
Nice. That sounds awesome. I can't wait to see that. The perfect knife.
And then going back to the shop stuff, sorry. So I've been told that I've actually heard before that I keep my shop like so it looks too clean to be a rock shop or like a workspace, and I'm like, no. For me, like if I can walk in there and I just look at it and we go like, it's too messy and I can't focus. So everything has to be clean. And granted, there are a few machines that I'll let it go for a little while, but after a while I have to clean it because it's distracting. And there's been times where I stopped what I was doing because like it was getting like a little too cluttered, and clutter is going to happen. But there's been times where I just stopped what I was doing. I'm like, I can't anymore. I have to put a pause on this so I can straighten up and get things clean again. And so I'm always curious to see like how everyone else has like their workspace, has their shop. And it's not that I'm judging them, but I'm always curious to be like, how do they have their stuff set up? Like how they organize, and how do they know where stuff is? Because I watch Adam Savage from Mythbusters. Like he has his own YouTube channel. His workspace I can only describe as organized chaos. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because he seems to know where everything is. And you just look at the background like you wouldn't know how to navigate it, but I'm sure if you ask him for something very specific, he'll know exactly where to go for it.
That's my genius, apparently.
Yeah.
I have a tornado over there, but it's there's like the magnet holders that keep all of your little bits and burrs and so I think that it's been said that your exterior is reflective of the interior of your mind. And so if your workspace is chaotic, then perhaps, that's what it's doing to your brain, and you can't think, your clean, beautiful, creative, linear thoughts, You're like a sprinkler going everywhere. So I feel that too. So this is actually pretty clean.
It looks clean.
Yeah, it looks pretty clean.
It's cluttered but
a lot
organized.
Cleaner. A lot cleaner than my area. Like I use just a really small portion of the garage, like a little corner with a 48-inch workbench, and I try really hard to keep it clean and organized. And by organization, I just have all my rocks from all the different people in their own box, so it's labeled. But then when I want to start a new project like tumbling or cut something up, I pull it all out, and there's just boxes. It's like where I'm standing is like an island, and there's just mountains of rocks and boxes all around me of stuff, and then it gets cluttered like crazy. And today I was trying to do that little video on the saw, and I just I'm getting frustrated with myself because there's just piles of rocks over here, piles of rocks over here. I'm moving stuff out of the way so it's not in the shot. And every time I get it organized, it lasts literally for like a few days to a week, and then I pull it all back out again. It drives me crazy. But normally, like when I work, like it has to be organized and clean. For I just don't have a whole lot of space where I am right now. But whenever I have more space, it's like crystal clean.
You'll get there.
Oh yeah, I know. Eventually.
I did notice that about Kyle's workspace, though. You could eat off of it, any part.
Oh
of
yeah.
It. It's attractive. It makes you want to go play there. Yeah.
Yes.
We're coming over to play.
If anyone has watched the shop tour video, like where I talked about like how what will look like before compared to now, I mean, that was a 2-year project, and it was slow because paying for a little bit at a time, and not. I think the only thing that was really hired out was the window and the roll-up garage door. I think it was, but everything else I did myself, and I'm all about learning. So if I can learn something new, I'll learn it and I'll apply it to the garage. And I've actually made a few adjustments for the better. Half the wiring is no longer in the wall; it's all external conduit. That way, I don't ever have to worry about if something goes wrong, or if I need to add something, I can just quickly take something apart, add some more conduit, and I'm good to go.
Nice.
I think there is 220 when I was taking everything down. Whoever had lived here before, I don't know if it's because maybe they had some kind of equipment or maybe a special dryer. I do not know, but I had found a live 220 wire that had not been capped. So
I think you mentioned that in one of your videos.
Yeah, that was more nerve-wracking because not knowing where the exact shutoff for that wire was, and so I shut the entire breaker down to the entire house, and I checked and I double checked and I rechecked to make sure that there was no current whatsoever before I even touched that thing. Like, I try to document as much as I can with photos, but it would have been really cool if I did start my channel a long time ago, and so people could see the transition from when we first moved in to where everything is at now, because it was a mess and it did not look very, very pleasant at all. So, I mean, I would suggest that start recording, and that way people can see that transition from where you're at now to where you're going to be.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually an inspiration where we're trying to sort of redo our garage the same way. And it's a nightmare right now. There's no room to turn around, basically. And so that's good advice, especially for anybody out there that's building up their studio. You can have a studio like Kyle's.
Everything's on wheels.
Oh,
noticed.
Yeah, that's so smart.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference, because when I was redoing everything, nothing was on wheels. So having to scoot stuff across the floor is not fun when I'm trying to lay down shiplap or trying to do electrical. It was a hassle. But with everything on wheels, if it's a nice day, I can push everything outside. No big deal. And then I can have a nice clean shop. I can get the leaf blower and just blow everything out the door and call it good.
Nice. I guess pretty much what I have coming up, I'm still trying to work on that video for Monday to get it out and get everything polished that I'm going to do for the giveaway. And there is a few projects that I'm wanting to do, but I'm going to save that for another time. And pretty much just work on cleaning and organizing, because that really needs to happen.
You need some casters.
Yeah. Yes.
Wheels good.
I think I'm probably going to work on taking some of my rocks and put them outside, just because they are rocks and they can go outside. And I don't want them to go outside, but I don't have room for them inside. And I'm getting so many of them. So
it's not a bad thing, though.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Not at all.
I had to evict a spider out of this. It lives outside right now. Yeah.
Do y'all have like for me, it doesn't matter if I take all my collection and throw it all together, I can pick up every rock and tell you exactly where it came from. Do y'all have that same
It depends.
Depends.
You guys see my rock pile.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. I want to go through it.
Our rocks, we built some bins, and so they're outdoor bins, and we can cover them and make them into seating for our like backyard. And so we can pretend that we don't have a rock problem because they cover up. But usually I end up taking them out and putting them on the area in which we are supposed to be able to sit. And so there's always rocks there anyway, because you have to play with them to see what you're going to work on next. But Kurt, yeah, I can remember. I try to keep the region together. So if I found it in the Ochicos, it's going into the Ochicos. Yeah. Richardson's Rock Ranch is over here. And the thing is that I used to be particular to the extent of wanting to keep certain expeditions separate, and I let go of that. And so sometimes I can remember exactly like when I picked up this one limb cast, but for the most part, the moss agate is with the moss agate, and there's some standouts, but I know where it's from and kind of so on and so forth. But it's important.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for me anyway.
Yeah, I for when I organize races, I try and keep them per state. Like I have a bucket of Kentucky, a bucket of Tennessee, a bucket of Vermont. I try and keep it like that. But as far as like locations in that state, I just throw them all in together because it doesn't matter. I'll remember where it came from. I wish it was like that with everything in life. I wish I could remember everything like that. But if you ask me something like, where'd you put the ketchup? I don't know. Somewhere in the fridge.
Well, I think with that note, we're about done with our 45-minute time frame.
Abundantly.
We're actually we went way past that. That's fine.
You can edit. Yeah. Not really.
Yeah, no, I'll edit a little bit, like maybe from the very beginning, but no, we'll get better about having a little bit shorter podcasts, but this is a good start. But before I go, does anyone have any words of encouragement for people that are watching, for the people that have gotten this far?
Well, for anyone that's just like getting into rock hounding, whenever you're finding rocks, as long as it's special to you personally, it doesn't have to be an amazing find. Like there's times I'll pick up something that just looks interesting to myself, and I show it to anyone else. They don't care really anything about it. As long as it's special to you and you're connected to it, it's a gold. It's a perfect find for you. So don't judge yourself on this isn't a cool rock, because it is, because it was drawn to you. So every rock you pick up is special. So
it's good words.
That's great.
What about you?
I would say that I would probably add on with Kurt and just extend it to making. It's hard to start, and every point along the way after you start making jewelry, or if you're sculpting, whatever it is that you're doing with your rocks, lapidary, creating cabochons, it's beautiful, and there's a learning curve. And so no matter where you are, you aren't at the beginning, and the ceiling is infinite. And so after having been with it for 3 decades plus, I still learn something every single day, and I keep an open mind to do so.
Definitely.
And then I make ugly stuff, and it's okay, because I have the next project to do. And so I think that, keep creating is always what I say. And it's not just a fluffy slogan. It really, seriously, no matter what. So Kyle, what about you?
No, to add on to yours, if you think something is ugly, doesn't mean someone else is going to think that's ugly. Everyone has different views and perspectives. Same thing with Kurt talking about finding rocks. Everyone has their own different views. Something that's going to be ugly to someone else is going to be beautiful to someone else entirely. So, but my advice is, if you have an idea and it seems like a good idea to you, and just do it. And the worst you can do is, not try. So if you have a cool idea, run with it. You don't know until you try. And the worst that's going to happen is it won't work out, and you can just pick yourself up and try again. But with that, let's go ahead and end this. If you guys have questions, leave them down in the comment section down below. We'd love to hear what you guys would like to hear us talk about. And yeah, we'll go ahead and end it there. So see you guys all next week, and we'll see everyone else next week. So until next time, rock on.
Peace out.